welcome to Southern Sass Chats. My guest today is a screenwriter. He has written two scripts adapted from books. He has written a script that's going to be a Christmas movie coming up very soon. And I'm sure he has more in the works. Please welcome Paul Ditty.
Hi, Angie.
Hi, how are
How are
you?
you?
Love the
Good.
pumpkin theme there with your shirt.
Thank you. Had to do it. We have one. Well, I mean, pumpkin goes on until after Thanksgiving, right? But
That's
for
right.
Halloween, at least until Friday. So
Yeah, I'm trying to do a little fall thing once
I
it
love
through
it.
and apple earrings because we'll mention Apple Hill. So
Yes, totally.
really excited to talk with you in person, kind of.
This is great. I mean, we've been talking on Instagram for, I feel like 2 years. It's been
I
a
know
long time. So it's
everything
nice to
moves
finally
so
meet you.
slow in
It,
development world. So yeah, it has been. Yeah. Well, first of all, tell us how you got into screenwriting or teleplay writing, script writing. I may not be using the proper word, but you
oh,
tell us exactly what you would call it.
well, I've written since I was little, which I'm sure you did as well. I loved Nancy Drew. I loved Hardy Boys and Trixie Belden Mysteries. And so I formed my own detective agency with a neighbor of mine, and there weren't any mysteries to solve in northern Minnesota. So I started to write my own little mysteries instead. And that's when I really got the bug for writing. And I I realized in the course of it that I my second love aside from reading was television. And so I started writing scripts, I think maybe in like sixth grade. I started writing soap opera scripts because my
And you
my
were going to say
uh,
that.
oh yeah, my dream was to write for the soaps when I was a kid and as an adult. And then I moved here to California and I've been writing ever since. I mean, I've had some moments where I haven't because my work life or my personal life has taken over. But I'd taken several classes from this writing lab called Script Anatomy that's here in LA. But they do everything online now, so you can take classes from anywhere in the world. And I took a lot of TV writing classes, and I really feel like that is where I learned the craft. I mean, all of the classes are taught by working writers. And one of the writers, her name is Holly Overton. Her sister, her twin sister, was an executive. Her sister, Heather, was an executive at Hallmark at the time. And she asked me if I would do a rewrite. And I said, of course. I was eager for any opportunity. And instead of hiring me for the rewrite, they hired me to write the adaptation of Pumpkin Everything. So that's really how I got my start. That was my first opportunity to have a paid writing gig. So
So
um,
you
so
did the
really it was
rewrite
awesome.
for it.
No, I did the original. They were going to, I'm sorry, they were going to hire me for a rewrite, but then ended up not working out. So they ended up just hiring me to do Pumpkin Everything, which was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, so that's really how I got my start. And I'm grateful, obviously to Holly and to Heather, but then I worked with a great executive at Hallmark named Bart who took the project over, and Bart's been really great. Like I've had opportunities with him, and then also with Evoke Entertainment, which is partnered with Hallmark on both Autumn at Apple Hill and Pumpkin Everything. They've been really great to give me opportunities as well.
Oh, that's amazing. So I've always wondered when you're hired to do these adaptations, um, and we'll get to, I know you just did your own script. That's going to be a movie this year too. But
Yes,
when you did the adaptations for Pumpkin Everything and by Beth Labonte's book, my friend, and
yes.
I told her,
Hi, Beth.
I was like, Beth, you've got to watch my podcast today because I'm going to have Paul on. Beth's too
Yeah.
shy to come on a
Beth's
podcast.
shy. Beth, get on here.
I know. I'm like, Beth, get on here. People love you. You have plenty to say. Um, but when you were hired, are you hired from Hallmark directly, or are you hired by the production company that's like doing the co-partnership or whatever?
I I think it really depends. I mean, I think the case of in the case of Pumpkin Everything, I was hired by Evoke, which was Cartel at the time,
Hmm.
and then for Automatical Hill, I was hired by Hallmark, but then Evoke took it over. So then I ended up getting paid by them. I know that sometimes they do it because of they do it for financial reasons, I'm sure. And so that is something that it just kind of depends. And then my current I am writing another movie for Hallmark that's a Christmas movie, and that is with that is with another production company. But Hallmark is obviously they're involved in every step, but I'm also reporting to the producers from that company as well.
Right. So, and we were hoping that one was going to come out this year, but we know they reduced their output for this
Mm.
year. So, is that in development for next year? Maybe.
Angie, well, we
We
hope.
all wonder.
Angie knows everything. Like she knew you knew more about what was going on than I did. I'm like, I have no idea. I was so out of the loop with Autumn at Apple Hill. I was like, they're what they're and you're like sending me
Sleeper.
screenshots. I was like, where is this? So
Find out anything.
if I ever need to track someone down, I'm asking you. Um, but yeah, no, I O Santa is the working title. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that, but right now it is slated to be for next year, and they want to produce it over the winter. But knock on wood, because anything can happen, right? With every step of a project, and this has happened to me before, where what they're looking for will change, sort of like based on viewership and based on the leadership. So something that seemed like a great idea might not fully pan out, and they may decide to move in a different direction. So fingers crossed that it continues to go forward, because I'm excited about the story.
Yeah, yeah. I really hope that it does for you because
Thank you.
I want all the good things for you. You know, you're just like the best. You're always so personable. You deal with me being annoying. Like when you were telling me
Not
about
at
the
all.
changes for Apple Hill, and I was like, are there even still going to be apples? And
Well, it's yeah,
you're like, yes,
the
Angie.
adaptation. Yeah, the adaptation process is really, as a writer, adapting something, obviously from another writer, it's a very delicate thing. And then sometimes decisions are made, and I'm like, okay, but it's, with Hallmark, they have such a broad scope of like what's already been done in a movie, what's happening in another movie that's airing that season. A lot of things that I'm not privy to. So one of the things with me is when unless I feel like it will change the characters or change things thematically significantly, I tend to roll with it. Only because I know that they're trying to make each movie distinctive
Right.
from the others. But yeah, it was so hard. I mean, I just there were so many beautiful details in your book, and like there was a Stevie Nicks, there was a Fleetwood Mac song, right?
Yes, I would
Um,
have loved.
was it
I mean, I knew they wouldn't
Landslide?
be able to get it.
Landslide,
Yes.
right? Landslide. And I was like, oh no. I'm like, I think to get the rights to that would probably be more than the budget of the movie.
No, I
you
was like,
know,
well, I think there've been some some people who've covered it or whatever. But
yeah,
I mean, can you imagine how beautiful that would have been though at some point in
yes,
a scene when she was coming in and she was going through like kind of a breakdown, I just
yeah,
oh but we can do
I
so much
know.
more in a book because budget doesn't matter in book land.
I know, but it's like music can do so much in those quiet scenes when you're watching a movie or a TV show, and it can be so powerful. And
Sure can.
I totally like I was like, oh, that would have been great. But yeah, I know it was like there were certain points where I think with Pumpkin Everything, I had to change names because it turned out that that there was a person that had that same name. And then with Autumn at Apple Hill, I think it was called Autumn Hill Inn, if I'm
The
remembering
book is,
correctly.
I call it the B&B, but in
Yeah,
could be whatever.
yeah. So it was, I think it was Autumn Hill Inn, and we had to change the name to the Inn at Apple Hill
Okay.
because there was an Autumn Hill Inn. So
Oh,
these
okay.
changes are they get progressively more micro as you near completion. But yeah, some of them are just so funny.
Yeah,
Um,
like I didn't know when I was writing Autumn at Apple Hill in 2017. I did not know there
oh
was
my
an Apple.
gosh.
Yeah, I didn't know there was an Apple Hill in California, in Placerville,
Mm,
California, that is like a big deal. And I looked up, like, so usually I'll look up certain things like towns and various things in the state, make sure or whatever. But I just was like, well, I mean, and there are other places that refer to themselves as Apple Hill also. So they don't have like, the ownership of the name. It's other places that call themselves the Apple Hill Vineyard and this and that too. Um, but a lot of people think that the movie, if they live in California, they think it's set there, which, hey, if anything, that helps them because
mhm.
it's getting more people to watch the movie and be like, oh, let's take a
Right.
drive up to Apple Hill in California and Placerville. Or if you live in one of the states that has an Apple Hill vineyard or this or that within the name, it makes them want to go and visit. So if anything, it's helping them all. So I love that. But you're right. As far as the music, there was a scene at the end at the Halloween party when they're playing that song. I loved it because it evoked an emotion and it
Mhm.
made me feel happy and cozy. And I love that. And then at the very end, they played a little bit of a song too. Right at the very end. I love that. Like you said, the music can really elevate a movie because
Yes.
of tying in more emotion to it. I like that too. I just love that.
Well, I don't want to break the rules of Southern Sass, but how did you get the idea for the book? I've never asked you.
For Apple Hill,
Am I breaking the rules?
no,
Oh,
I have
okay,
no
good.
rules. I have no
Oh,
rules.
good. I love it.
Everything is just casual and comfy here. Um, so when I started writing, I was actually watching Hallmark Christmas movies in 2016, and I said I had written a short story or two before. I always did poetry, like my high school class poem, and always did really well with essays and all the things. And so I decided I was like, yeah, I can write stories like this. I love these. I'm going to write 4 books, one for each season, or Christmas will be my winter season. And I don't know. I write. I'm a pantser. So you have a plotter and a pantser. A plotter
Hmm.
has everything mapped out. The way Hallmark is going to pretty much make you
Hmm.
do things in the script
Oh yeah.
world. But as a pantser, I let the story just take me where it's going to go. And I just sat down one day and said, you know what? I want to write a fall book. It was my second book. I wrote a Christmas one first.
Hmm.
And I said, okay, fall is my favorite season. And I just started, I don't know, apples came to me because I felt like there was more stuff about pumpkins. So I
Yes.
decided to lean into apple. And then Beth and I were talking because we didn't even know. That's around the time we met each other online through a group we ran. And we realized she had pumpkin everything and I had autumn and apple hill. So we started like cross promoting for each other. And it just, I don't know. I just kind of, some people think apples like late summer and into early fall.
Mm.
And so I kind of kept that in the book. It starts in August and goes through
Yeah.
October. So I kind of wanted to take that 2 month journey there.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I just started thinking, and I've always wanted to go to Maine and I've never been. And people are surprised by that when they read the book. They're like, well, you seem to know a
Yes.
lot.
Totally.
But yeah,
And
so yeah,
I've never heard that pantser. At
yeah,
first, I thought you were
Panther.
saying you were a Cancer. You were telling me your astrological sign.
Yeah.
I think I'm a bit of a Pantser, to be honest with you. I obviously have to follow the rules, but when I wrote, I've written like I mean, writing a book is a lot. I've written one book. I've written a lot of short stories, but I did write one book, and very much so, the book was a pantser experience for me, 100%. But the fun thing about doing that is it really for me being a pantser, it I don't get that writer's block or that trepidation of going to the computer as much because I'm not my mind's not so locked into like what I have to accomplish. And it allows me to come up with more ideas in the process, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll come up with a little bit, but for me, I always start with a title and a cover. I just sit down on
Yeah.
Canva and start making something, and then I
Yep.
think of a couple of names, and I don't know. I just start typing. It's like my fingers and my mind start doing things that I'm not even thinking about at first. And then
Yep.
as I get into it, sometimes I'll go back and change something and say, well, this doesn't really fit as well. But, and my writing has grown over the years. Apple Hill was my second book. I have grown since then with some of my writing too. But yeah, the freedom in being a pantser is
Hmm.
great. And it's one reason I chose to indie publish because I wanted to do it. Well, I wanted to do it my way. I wanted to decide the
Absolutely.
cover. I wanted to have control over how I told the story so I could write when I wanted to write and not feel that, like you said, writer's
Yeah.
block comes with the deadlines and things. How in the world do you write a script in like a month? I can't even. I wrote that book in a month,
Well,
but now
yeah, you
I
know
can't do that
what?
as fast.
That's a good question. How do I? Well, I think in the with pumpkin everything, it was I have to say it was like I was at a little bit of a um I don't want to say easier point in my life, but I was a little bit more ahead of the game with pumpkin everything. With Autumn at Apple Hill, there were just a lot of things going on in my non-writing life that were that were just all kind of coming to a head. And so meeting those deadlines for Autumn at Apple Hill was was really difficult for me. And I pulled multiple all-nighters.
Oh,
I pulled one all-nighter, not in a row, but I mean throughout sporadically throughout the course of it. And I'm 51. I can't do all-nighters
me
anymore.
too.
Oh, you
Yeah,
are?
it's the same
Oh
age.
my gosh. I didn't know that. Wow, you look fantastic.
Oh, thank you. You
Yeah.
do.
Um, but I can't do all-nighters anymore. So but but I did, I got it done. And then what I kind of realized is a little bit for me is that I am a perfectionist and I get it, part of like when you're a plotter or you're writing something that's assigned, I get into my head a bit. I get very I start to discourage myself and then I end up putting stuff off. So because I had so much other stuff going on, there were these other things that I could easily let take priority. Um, so it was a little bit harder for me with that script. But
Well, you
I
did a
mean,
fantastic job with it.
thank you. No, I was so happy with how it turned out, and honestly, like this script, I mean, there's the story and the characters which were already so rich, and then the input from Hallmark, but also the production team as we got to the final draft. The director, I got to meet the director, which I hadn't done with Pumpkin Everything, and he gave me some really brilliant ideas for the I think the third draft, and
On
it
Garrity,
really
everyone.
yes he was great, and it sparked this like sort of like I've been working on it for you work on something for so long you kind of get lost in it, and he just like he said just a couple of things and he just like sparked this like new energy as I went into like the final draft of it. So yeah, it was a really nice collaborative process for sure.
Love that. And the script that you have coming out, there's actually a movie coming out. Sorry, movie coming out based
Yeah.
on your script, your screenplay. Screenplay or teleplay? Which is
It can be either.
okay?
Yeah, it's I I love the word teleplay but people don't really say it anymore. I think they say screenplay more often, but I just love the word teleplay because that's what they used to call it. Was a If it was a television script, they would call it a teleplay,
Oh.
and if it was a feature, they would call it a
Well,
screenplay.
I'm gonna say
But
teleplay at this
I
point.
love
You
that
like that
word.
word, and I like it too.
It makes me so happy. I just love that word.
So
Um,
your teleplay for it was originally Christmas pages,
right.
and now it's Christmas on every page.
Yes, it is. I actually had to look it up before we got on here.
Cindy
So
Busby told
this
me
was,
yesterday.
yeah, so Stan Spry at Evoke, he sent me a couple of different ideas that were paragraphs, and he had asked me, do any of these speak to you? And one of them was Christmas pages, which is now Christmas on every page. And um, I was really drawn to that because, well, A, I love bookstores,
I had a
and
bookstore for
B,
a few years.
you did?
I did. The
Oh,
pandemic, I had tried it. It was going for a couple of years, and I had some talent in who've had movies like Nancy Nagel from she's had
wow.
movies on Hallmark and stuff too. And I did
Yep,
it to like promote my own as well. And I've had different people come in, but not to
yep.
interrupt you there. But I did. So
No.
your that script speaks to me. So I'm gonna have to watch that movie for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no. My mom um, loved books, and she was the most voracious reader I've ever known. She actually about 20 years ago, she got rid of her couch in her living room so she could have more room for bookcases. She was like obsessed. So I don't know what to do with my mom passed away in August, and I don't know what to do with her books. So I put all of her books in storage in northern Minnesota because I don't know what to do with them. But anyway, she worked at B. Dalton. I don't know if you remember B. Dalton Bookseller.
Oh yeah.
Um, but she worked at B. Dalton for like 20 years. And so I was, my mom was really sick and I was going through that. So it just really drew me in. The idea to write this story about, a daughter helping her mother with her bookstore. And so the story just kind of sprang to life from that. Unfortunately, I didn't get to write the final draft because the final draft needed to be written around the time that my mom was passing. So it was really hard for me because I'm not someone that likes to, I'm not someone that likes to let other people help me with stuff just in general. And B, I don't like leaving things incomplete. I still have trouble like not finishing a TV series or a book because I just like things to be completed.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me, but I saw that the writer that took over is Riley Weston, and it looks like she's written a lot of movies in addition to being an actress. So I'm excited to see the changes she made. But it was really fun to write. I really enjoyed it. The main character goes back to her hometown. She helps with, sorry, that's Walgreens. My prescription's ready. Okay. She goes back to her hometown. Her mom had a little bit of an accident, so she's helping her mom run the bookstore. And she meets this guy who is kind of at a crossroads in his life. The place he worked at as a carpenter closed, and he's kind of like figuring out what his next move is and how to get his next start. And he is part of a really close knit community in that town's church. So she starts to become involved in the church and in their Christmas Eve celebration specifically. Um, and it was very sweet. It's very tender. Um,
It's like a
with Great
tribute for
American
your
Family.
mom.
Yeah, yeah, it felt really nice to write it at that time. So I'm very excited to see how it turned out. At first, I thought it's going to be hard for me to watch because just so much was going on when I was trying to get it done. But I'm really, I was very, I it was a bit cathartic to write about it in a way. So yeah,
Oh, but yeah, that's wonderful. I think that's special, and I'm sure she will be looking down and watching and
yeah, I think
enjoying it
so.
with you. That's really special, really special. Um, and so you have pumpkin everything. Autumn in Apple Hill, Christmas on Every Page that you wrote the majority of, and
Right.
you have Oh Santa in development. You also did a little sleuthing work, detective work yourself, and created was it a podcast or just a blog
Yes.
on Time
No, it's a
Capsule?
podcast.
Tell us a little bit about Time Capsule, just so people can go to I'm
Well,
going to link your Substack so people can go, because that's
oh, thank
completely
you.
different from the Hallmark World, guys. But it's
It's
fun.
very different. So as I said, I love a mystery. I'm from Minnesota. I grew up in northern Minnesota in a town called Bemidji, which is the home of Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox. And then I went to University of Minnesota in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Minneapolis is my favorite place. Like when I go to Minneapolis, I feel like I'm home. I feel grounded. Anytime I feel like out of sorts, if I go back there, I just get recentered. It's a very like it's home for me, and so that was part of the draw to it. But the other part of the draw was that I'm really fascinated by secret histories. I'm very fascinated by like the untold story and all of the things that get lost in history before the internet. Um, so uh, basically, uh, there was a safe deposit box in the 1980s that was left unaccounted for. And in Minnesota, anything that is left unaccounted for in a safe deposit box, it gets turned over to the Department of Commerce. And so if it's a value, then the state gets it. So if it's like a diamond ring unclaimed, the state gets the funds for that. But in this case, what was left in the deposit box were newsletters for uh, for a swingers club, and these newsletters, easily could have ended up in the garbage. But the Minnesota Historical Society gets first option on anything that's left behind that's not, money.
Right.
And they took it. So they took it, they put it in this folder. It was stored. Nothing really happened. And then there's a writer named Jack Elhai who is a journalist. And I don't know if you've heard of the movie Nuremberg that's coming out, but that's actually based on one of his books.
Oh,
And yeah, and he asked one of the curators at the museum, he said, is there anything, or at the library, is there anything here that you think is really interesting that people don't really know about? And that woman said yes and showed him these newsletters. He got copies of the newsletters in the 90s and really didn't know what to do with it. Like like one of the challenges is that he couldn't do much research because almost all of the people were listed by first name only for anonymity. And he made one contact with that, but the person whose full name was listed, the treasurer, was in declining health when he finally contacted her and was unable to, speak with him. Um, so he wrote an article for GQ, I think back in 2017, and it was just sort of about the story behind these newsletters and the mystery behind them. Jack Houston, the actor who also has a production company, uh, was really interested in the article and optioned it to make it into a TV series. And I am friends with April Shee, who has a production company, Diversity Hire, and he reached out to her to partner with her in making a TV show. And she said, well, my friend Paul would be perfect for this because he writes very quirky, weird stories when I'm writing my own stuff. And then he is from Minnesota. And so they reached out to me, and the whole idea was we were going to develop a TV series. But I went down a rabbit hole. I wanted to know who these people were. I wanted to know what it was like to be in the club. I wanted to know if it was as fabulous as it sounded, because they had like their own, they had monthly dances. They had like a bowling league. They had a softball team. I was like, this just sounds like such a fun, like beyond just like the partner swapping. It just sounded so fascinating. So I dug and I dug and I dug and I found a bunch of people that had been in the club, and I found a bunch of their children, and then I started interviewing them. and meeting with them. I had a lot of people hang up on me and say they never wanted to talk to me, or I had people that said they just never wanted to talk about the club again. But my main sort of like mystery for this was like who was in the club and why. But deeper than that, like what did it give them? You know, what did they get out of the club? And then I wanted to know who left those newsletters in the safe deposit box,
Yeah.
and why would they leave them there? Because that's the only reason why we even know about this club,
Right.
right? Otherwise, no one would know. And then the other part was, why was the club still in existence, or did it end? Because there are still, you know, swinging clubs well, everywhere, but in Minneapolis specifically. Um, so yeah, it was a wild ride. It was a 2-year project. I ended up having coffee with my friend April one day, and I had said that I wanted to do a podcast, kind of similar to what you're doing. I wanted to do one about soap opera history, and she said, "Well, why don't you do a podcast about this?" So I learned a lot. I wrote all the episodes. I did all the research. I had a production team that helped me with the interviews, and then I was also the host. And then in tandem with each episode, I created a Substack so I could share additional information about each episode, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It
I
was
had
the
never heard of
time of
Substack
my life.
until you had Time Capsule. So
Oh,
I
it's
I
such a
started
great
looking at it. I was like,
thing.
oh, it's so much you can do there.
It's great for writers. It's a great way for you to like promote your material, and especially as someone that likes to just kind of like freestyle write. I think it's great for that. One of my friends read something that I posted a couple of weeks ago, and he said, it's not your best writing, but it was very emotional and moving. And I think that's kind of what it's for. It's like, for me, it's like I don't necessarily put a lot of pressure on myself when I write for Substack. It's just a little bit more off the cuff for me.
It's just kind of like a journal, but that other people can read. You're just kind of putting your thoughts out there and whatever.
Oh
I
yeah.
created one. I just started it a little bit, but I haven't. I really need to get back to it and do more on it. But I was looking at all the things you could do, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. All the stuff you can put here, and you can
You
have a
can
podcast
fill
and
your epic. You can,
links,
yeah.
all the things. So I'm going to put a link in there so people can go if they want to deep dive into that. They can go to your time capsule for that too, as well as to your website of Paul Ditty. Now, Paul, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that are, well, first, I'm going to ask you one other thing before I do a rapid fire with you. And you kind of answered it in the beginning, but I want to be sure to ask it again because I want it to get out there in the world. In your dream job, what type of script would you like to be working on? Or would you like to be writing a feature? Would you like to be working for a type of series? What would you like to do? I know the answer, and you kind of said it already, but
Yeah, well, it has changed a little bit. I think my dream now is to write features in the rom-com genre. I really have discovered, thanks to Hallmark, I've discovered that it's something I really love doing.
oh,
And the feature format is a really satisfying one for me. It's very difficult for me at times, but I really love doing it. But my dream of dreams would be to write on a soap opera. I would love to. I would love to be part of a soap opera and be
both are
part of the
beautiful.
plotting and the script writing, and I just loved it. I read a book. I think that I checked out of the library when I was in 7th grade, called 8 Years in Another World, by this man named Hardy LeMay. He was the head writer of Another World for 8 years during its heyday in the 70s. And it made me want to do it. Like I knew that I thought that I wanted to do it. And as soon as I read that book, I mean, it's kind of difficult to read because I mean, he basically had a nervous breakdown by the time he was done. But reading it and just reading about all of the ways that he like developed these characters and stories that lasted. I mean, it's not really the same for daytime anymore, but when I used to watch Young and the Restless and The Bold and the Beautiful too, like some of these stories would last, as the world turns, some of these stories would last 2 or 3 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and they'd have all these subplots. So that, yeah, that was not a rapid fire answer, but soap
No, we're
opera
not into the
writer.
rapid fire yet anyway.
Oh, also, you know what? I never told you the name of the podcast. The name of the podcast is Time Capsule, The Silver Chain. And the
Silver
Silver
chain.
Chain is that's the name of the swingers club.
Silver. Yeah. So we've talked about this through in Civil before. What I grew up watching Frisco and Felicia on General Hospital. They were
Oh
like
my God.
my couple.
Yes.
Love them. And I was a little young when we both were, when they first got together in like 84 or whatever. We were still
Yeah.
young. But by the
Oh,
time
I know.
Frisco came back in 89, I was starting high school, I was like
Yep.
my freshman year. And I just really got into it. And my grandmother always had Young and the Restless on and Bold and the Beautiful, As the World Turns.
Yeah.
So I was always watching, Victor and Nikki and all of them. We've talked about our
I
soap
know.
opera days.
Oh.
I always wanted to be a soap opera actress when I was growing up. I'm like,
Oh, you'd be great.
I'm like, that's what I want to do. I just want to have a long lasting career on a soap. And
Totally.
and I did do some acting when I was in college in Wilmington and had a scholarship and all the things around here. But I just never I was too chicken to move to New York or LA by myself. But yeah, that was originally
Yeah.
what I wanted to do. You wanted to write for the soaps, and I wanted to be an actress on the soap.
Oh, yeah. I was crazy about those shows. I had three VCRs when I was in college, so I could record shows from each network. This is before TiVo kids, or before Netflix. It's like I literally had three VCRs, and I saved so many of my tapes. My husband is like, "What are you going to do with these tapes?" And I've digitized some of them, but it's like I just the way stories unfolded. And you're right, like these people that like, that were in your living room every day,
Yeah.
like Victor and Nikki, who are still on the show, and we're
Yes.
like, we're in our 50s and we're talking about like being 8 and 9 years old. I mean, I
Yes.
remember watching these shows when I was like 5 and 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I would come home and or if it was a day out of school and my grandparents lived like next to us, like we had a long driveway and their house was at the end, and I would stay over there for the day. And yeah, we're going to be watching The Young and the Restless every single day, and hers were complete CBS, so she watched all the
yeah,
CBS soaps. Um,
yeah.
I just kind of got into General Hospital on my own, but my mom owned a hair salon forever, and if I would go over there in the middle of the day, she would have
Yeah.
The Young and the Restless on in the salon for
Yeah.
for her customers, to her clients to watch. And then they moved it to like 4 o'clock in the afternoon for us Eastern time or something. It got
Really?
shifted to later in the day. I don't know. It was weird. But I always remembered it as like 12:30, right? Like wasn't it like 12:30 to
Yes. Yeah.
1:30 and then 1:30 to
11:30.
2?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're different times, but
11:30. I was in the Midwest, so it was 11 a.m. because we had a show called The Farm Today. I grew up in farmland, so we had an
we did too. Me too.
agricultural show, like a commodities show basically, that was on every day. But yeah, so what I remember is, I remember when, because my grandma would watch me when I was younger. She would watch a show called Love of Life, and then, which ended in 1980, and then she would watch Young and the Restless and then Search for Tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I remember
And
him
they
search
were,
tomorrow.
yeah, they were all a half hour at that time. But
And Bold and
but
Beautiful came later.
yeah, 1987, March 23rd, 1987. Um, so, but what was funny is that we lived in the country, so we couldn't even get cable. A lot of people had satellite dishes, but we didn't. And
My parents got a satellite after I graduated from high school, so we had like the big
I, oh
antenna
yeah,
on the house, and you had
yeah,
to turn the dial.
yes. I wanted one so bad. I was like, please, because they would do that. What they would do is they would do the feeds of the soap opera, so they would transmit the show the next day to the affiliates. So my friend would watch like The Bold and the Beautiful a day in advance at like 12:30 at night, and
How dare
so
they?
like
I did
I
not
know.
even.
So yeah,
I
it
did
was
not know
like,
that.
yeah, and and we had, so at one point it was an NBC affiliate, was the only channel we got, and then they switched to CBS. And there were so many Days of Our Lives fans that they freaked out and they like wrote to NBC, they wrote to the affiliate. They basically had a protest, a northern Minnesota protest, which I'm sure was very, polite.
Right.
But they decided to air Days of Our Lives on the CBS affiliate at 3 p.m.
Oh, wow.
So that was the show I started watching because it was on as soon as I got home from school. And that in addition to the CBS soaps, that was the one where I was just like, it was like Bo and Hope and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well,
I could go on and on.
I didn't even watch all of them, but I got Soap Opera Digest, Soap Opera Weekly. So
Oh, me
I knew all the
too.
super couples. So all the
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
Kayla and Patch on Days,
Hmm.
like I said, Bo and
Oh,
Hope,
I read.
and Santa Barbara
Oh
even.
yeah.
What was it like
Oh, Santa Barbara was so good.
Cruz and
Cruise and
Eden?
Eden. Yeah.
I knew
And
them
I
all.
I had Yep, and I liked Soap Opera Digest, but I loved Soap Opera Weekly. I thought Soap Opera Weekly was such a good publication because it was really like they would critique the soaps and they would talk about character and they would talk about storyline and they would talk about acting. I mean, they really looked at it as a craft and
Yes.
just sort of like took it so seriously. I love that magazine. I was really sad when it went away.
I'm going to throw one other thing in on our soap opera thing because I think people will enjoy this who are watching and are
Of course.
Gen
How could
Xer.
they not? If
um,
Right.
so I was so invested in Frisco and Felicia that I joined
Oh yeah.
Christina Wagner's fan club. And I wrote a poem for Frisco and Felicia. And it was called, was it The Right Key? Because Jack Wagner wrote a song called The Right Key for her. And I had Lady of My Heart in it too, because he had written that when they were dating before I started watching. But I had gone and found a way to catch up somehow. I don't even know how back then, but I did. I know I couldn't go watch it on YouTube, but I think people were
No.
telling me and I would see like a soap opera digest or weekly spreads that would take me back and let me know these things.
Yeah.
But I wrote this poem and she published it in her newsletter, or her mom did, because I think her mom ran her fan
Oh
club.
my
And
gosh.
I keep looking for it because I kept so many things and I keep trying to find it. And I'm like, it was there, she posted a whole page in her newsletter and it had my name. And I was like, that was my first thing that was published,
Yeah.
outside of naming some rabbits in our local newspaper.
Right.
So that was my start into writing, and then I
Oh,
wrote our high school class poem. But
yeah.
yeah,
That
I
is
did.
so awesome.
I'm like, I'm still trying. I'm looking. I was like, did I ever find that? Because I had like a whole stack of those newsletters, and I'm like, what happened to my poem? It's somewhere. It's somewhere at my parents' house.
It's got to be somewhere.
It's so amazing though.
Yeah.
Um, well, we're gonna move into some rapid fire where I ask you a couple of
Oh,
questions.
that's right.
You can
Rapid
kind
fire.
of go off the cuff.
Oh my gosh. I'll ask rapidly. I mean, I'll answer rapidly.
Apple pie or pumpkin pie?
Apple pie.
You could say pumpkin. I like them both. Apple pie meat. Yeah.
No, I actually don't like pumpkin pie. I like pumpkin. I like pumpkin everything else. That's going to be my sequel. The best book is Pumpkin Everything Else, but I just don't like pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin everything else. Yeah. Um,
Yep.
Halloween, scary or funny?
Funny.
Yeah, me too. I don't really like the
Yeah,
scary stuff. I like more comical stuff, more goofy
me
things.
too. I like all the clever costumes that people think of, like the little kids that dress like the wheel of Price is Right. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's so cute.
Yes.
I love all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's funny, and I like the funny movies like Haul Out the Halloween that was just on. That's funny. I like
What's
the
it
funny
called?
stuff. Halloween Town.
Haul,
Haul
Haul
Out
Out the Halloween.
Haul Out the Halloween. Um, it
Okay.
it's on Hallmark and Hallmark Plus, and the production company behind that one is they've changed. They were Timeless Pictures, now they're Reckless. pictures.
Reckless. Whoa.
Yeah, they changed to
Very
Reckless
edgy.
right before Hallmark started changing again. So I don't know. They're gonna keep it as Reckless, but yeah, it's a really fun movie, and it has
I'm
Wes
gonna check that
Brown.
out.
Wes Brown is in it from
I
who
love Wes Brown.
so he and
I love
Lacey
him. Oh,
Chabert.
did you see that? Did you see that Ryan, is it Pavey? Is that how you say his name? Ryan
Uh-huh.
Pavey? He's back on General Hospital.
Yes, I saw that. I haven't started
I
watching again, but I want to now.
yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah, I just watched an episode I just watch an episode every month or so. He's on there. He looks fantastic.
Yeah, he does. I saw that. I'm really happy for him that he is
Yeah.
back on there. He seemed happy from his post, and I've been
I
meaning
know.
to watch because I think he's
Yeah,
fantastic.
he is.
Um, I I would if it hadn't been Wes Brown, Ryan was a choice for me for
Yep.
Luke in my thoughts.
And Jesse Hutch. I like Jesse Hutch.
Actually,
He
Jesse
would
was
have been good
who I
too.
mentioned too. I had Wes Brown, Ryan Pavey, Jesse Hutch were thoughts because I had originally Jesse Metcalf in mind when I wrote the book,
Mm,
but he hadn't done anything for Hallmark in a while,
yeah,
and I had Rachel
yeah.
Boston in mind for Elise.
Oh,
But I could not. I love Erin. I couldn't have asked for a better cast.
she was great.
Yes,
The way they both brought those characters to life was just beyond.
yes,
And they did some really good improv
they
as
did.
well
They
that I
did.
just thought really, it really made everything.
And you would know
um
more of that because you know exactly what they were supposed to
yeah,
say.
no, they did some really great improv that really added to the final product for
I knew
sure.
the trash can scene when he missed the trash can that had to be improv there, and he just because he kept going.
Yeah,
Instead of breaking character, he just kept going. See, even the trash can didn't want it. Like he just kept.
yeah.
Was that improv or did you write that?
That's improv. Yeah,
Okay.
that's improv.
I was like, surely he missed that trash can. He just like
Yeah,
kept
he
going.
was great. My friend who is a showrunner for a TV show watched it with me the night it came out, and he was like obsessed with Wes Brown. He was like, this guy is so great. He's like Hollywood, classic Hollywood looks, and just like kind of like a little bit like Matthew Perry with his like sense of humor.
Yeah, like that dry wit.
Yeah, he was. I'd seen him in other movies, but I just thought this other fun side of him came out in this movie.
Yes, I've always liked Wes, but I love Wes after watching this movie.
Me
Like I
too.
felt like he became um a hunk, a Hallmark hunk for me in
Yep.
this movie because sometimes they have him play in movies. Well, like the Hall Out movies, he's hilarious,
Mhm.
but you see him
Yep.
as like the nerdy, funny, sweet guy. But I
Yep.
felt like he had a little scruff going in this one,
Yes.
and I was like, "Hello, Wes." Uh-huh. He's like
Oh
really
yeah.
I felt like he was just in a different level in this one
Yep.
for me. And Erin, oh my gosh, I'm like, how could I have not imagined her as Elise at the time when I wrote it? Because she has that
Perfect.
spitfire personality that is like a wonderful, sweet girl, but she can snap those lines, and she was perfect for it. Perfect.
Oh, so good.
And everyone else
So
too.
good.
Sarah Luby, oh my gosh, they all did such a good job.
They
Okay.
did.
Um, Dessert or appetizers if you're out to dinner and you can only pick one or the other.
Oh man, dessert or appetizers.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna go with the appetizers too. And you and your husband
Yeah.
cook a lot, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we both cook quite a bit. But I love to go out to eat also. So it's like but if we have people over, and even sometimes it's just the two of us, I love having a snack beforehand. A little something. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely
Nice little
appetizers for me.
icebreakers and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
And did you? Yeah, I've seen you post a few things, and I was like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
so
I'm
good.
in a cookbook.
Everything looks good.
Yeah, I'm in a cookbook club. So we'll get a cookbook, and then we'll each take recipes from it. Then we make like, anywhere from 6 to 10 recipes from that cookbook. Which is a great way to learn about a cookbook because then you know what recipes you might want to make again. But then also, I'll just kind of do a deep dive into a cookbook. Usually one that's a little bit more straightforward. So like I'm a big Joanna Gaines fan and Ina Garten because their recipes are very, are very straightforward.
Yeah, I have to
And
do
they're
minimal. Give me the minimal directions.
yeah, yeah. And Ina's recipes always turn out. Joanna's not always, but when they do turn out, they turn out great. So yeah, so I like to make stuff at home a lot, and it's a new thing for me. Like I used to go out to eat like 3 or 4 nights a week in my 20s and 30s, and over the past like 10 years, I've really become more enthusiastic about cooking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything I've seen when you do post those pictures looks amazing. So
Well, come
that's
over
awesome.
for dinner,
I know.
Angie.
I'm
Let's
gonna fly out there tomorrow.
let's have a dinner party.
Yeah, if I'm out there, I'm gonna be like, okay, what are you cooking for me? We can go out to dinner one night, but
Definitely.
I've got to come over and have something at your house another.
Yes.
What is the last book that you read? Because I know you're also in a book club, the Jackie
I am.
Collins. Is that the book club?
Yes. I'm in Jackie Collins Book Club. Um, I I'm reading Princess Daisy by Judith Krantz for the book club. We read Jackie Collins and then we read Jackie Collins adjacent as
Okay.
well. So Judith Krantz is a big is a popular
Yes.
author for us to read. We love our Jackie, but we love Judith as well. So we read Judith, and sometimes we read a Julie Cooper book, Jacqueline Suzanne. We'll take little departures. But the last book I read was Be Ready When the Luck Happens by Ina Garten. It's her memoir.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very inspiring and fun book. The first third of it, I kind of had trouble getting through. And then once she bought Barefoot Contessa and just started like building this business just purely through her passion and enthusiasm, it was so, as a writer, you'll find it so inspiring because it talks about when she gets bored, she takes a leap and she has to be a little scared
Yeah.
in order for her to like really like be engaged. And I'm very much like that too. So I finished that, and then the book I'm currently reading, which I was going to recommend to you, is called Beach Read. I don't know if you've heard of it, by Emily Henry.
Yes, I have.
Have you
I
read it?
haven't read it, but I see it. It's one that I think about because I have a summer story and it pops up a lot with my book. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I definitely
I
want to read that. I
check
like
it.
her books.
I guess it's going to become a movie. Um, uh, they optioned the book because I was like the first 100 pages, I was like, has someone optioned this? Because this would be a great movie. Of course, it's already like someone's already doing it. They option the books before they even get published now.
Yeah, if I read a thriller, then I want to read something sweet and light. I read probably honestly, I read about 6 or 7 books a year. I don't read a whole
Me
lot.
too.
But
Me
a part of
too.
that is because I feel like guilty because I should be writing and I've been slack. I
I
took a
know.
couple years to just be like, I'll start things and then I'll stop.
Yeah.
But also because I don't want to feel like somebody else's story gets into my head.
That's why I won't watch Hallmark movies when I'm writing one,
Yep, that's
for that
exactly what I
exact
do.
reason. And then after I turn in the final script, then I'll watch a bunch of them. But
Exactly.
yeah,
I won't read
I
anything in my genre when I'm writing. Yep.
yeah. And what I do is I set my goal on Goodreads. Like I used to set it like 24 books. Now I set like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Because I'm like you, I maybe read like 6 or 7 normally. But what I do is if it's a nonfiction book, I listen to it on Audible. And if it's fiction, I read it. And so that's increased my number of books. It's
Yeah.
kind of like cheating, but I feel like
No.
nonfiction for me, I wouldn't read it if I had to actually read the book, so I listen to it.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think about people who are visually impaired or blind and just
yeah,
you can't read it and the audiobooks is wonderful for them. And then
yeah,
reverse, of course, print books if for non-hearing. But
yeah.
the last audiobook that I listened to was Bethany Joy Lynn's Dinner with Vampires, A Dinner with Vampires,
Ooh,
something like that. It's an autobiography where she is talking about her life working on the TV show One Tree Hill while also
really?
being in a religious cult. And she's Christian, she believes, she's of faith, but she got sucked into this. Oh, you'll love it. She got sucked into this family called the Big House family. And
What?
she married like the leader's son. And like this was all happening. Like I lived in Wilmington while they were filming the show. I did background on the show. And I remember when she got married. And I never had any idea that this, was all kind of like this brainwashing
Yeah.
scenario. And she was talking about how she's come out of that, and it's been like on #1 on like bestseller lists and all the things too. So
Oh, I'm gonna
you
listen to
Joy
that.
Lands, and it's great on audio because she is narrating it herself.
Oh, that's the
And she's
best. When the
yeah,
yeah, when the person that wrote it is narrating. Oh, the other book the other book that I listen to it every year, is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. She can be kind of a little bit polarizing for people, but her book on creativity, I think, is one of the best. And so I listen to that every year because it
send
keeps
me
me
that on
inspired.
Instagram to her name. So I remember Big Magic, but
Yeah,
I'll see if it doesn't come up. Send me her name again on
yeah,
Instagram.
I will.
I'm sure because that sounds fun too. And yeah, I love to get good recommendations, and I love to read things that are popular and then things that are niche, and just have a mix. My books are niche, but they're fun.
That's good. It's working for you.
And if you were to have lunch with someone living or dead, I thought I would pick one that's always asked, who might that be?
Hmm. Probably my dad. My dad passed away when I was 6. He died in a plane crash. So I have memories of him, but he never got to see me grow up and be who I am now. So that would be him.
Yeah, that's an amazing
Yeah.
answer. And as I asked it,
Yeah.
I'm like, Angie, you just lost your mom. I mean, that these are, family and our immediate thoughts, but
Yeah.
and then I kind of felt insensitive for asking the question.
No, no. I mean, I think with my mom, I mean, it's been really like so hard, but but I think, with all family, and I don't know if this has been the case for you, but it's like my mom and I had like a really good like friendship after my dad passed away. And then we've had our relationship as mother and son has kind of gone in like good spells and bad spells. And about 10 years ago, we really kind of like broke through all of that. And so when she passed, and I really do mean this, is it's like we our 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 relationship and our friendship and our bond was at its strongest the past 10 years. And so I wouldn't change that for the world.
Right.
But my dad was always this person. Like my mom, when my mom was passing away, even though she remarried, um, she spoke about my dad, almost, I would say, endlessly the last 2 weeks of her life. And so he's always been this like figure in my life
Yeah.
that I do feel connected to in my heart. But to be able to have lunch with him and like, you know, just get to know him better, would mean so much.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's a perfect answer. I am very, very close with my family. My dad and I have had our ups and downs over the years. We're just different.
Yeah,
But I love him. But my mom and I have always been very close. But yeah, just when I think of that same answer and I start thinking about, family members that are no longer with me and like grandparents and stuff. That's why I wrote Autumn and Apple Hill. It's actually, I'm
yes.
talking about each of my grandparents in some way. They're referenced in that story. My grandmother made biscuits from scratch. I talk about
Oh,
that and at least burning the biscuits and stuff. So, like, there is some real life. That is one of the few books that has a little more meat in it
Yeah.
any of the other books. So I guess if that was the first one, hopefully more, I
Yeah.
can be a little bit of a spitfire and and then turn around and be kind and loving and giving it all the things.
Right.
I kind of felt like a little bit of her personality. I was like, oh, I can see a little bit of me in this as I'm
Yeah,
writing
and
it.
it was, and that's what made it fun to write
Yeah,
about her, because I was like, this isn't like a, this character is someone that is,
she's not a
is not
pushover.
perfect, is not a pushover, is not perfect. And I could identify with the getting ahead of myself a little bit, where it's like I get a little fired up and I don't let anything stand in my way, even things that maybe should stand in my way. So that was you're writing the character that way really. I really connected with that.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think yeah, I felt like you had some connection to that character, and I did too. And I think we all I love it. And I know I keep bringing it up, but like everyone needs to get the DVD because our names are on the back.
Yes. Oh, I have to get the DVD.
Yeah, our names are on the back, yours
Let's,
and mine. I was
oh,
shocked.
is
Like
it
my
on
name is on this DVD. Oh, and
did
I'm
you get it on
writing the book.
Prime? Where do you get it?
And it's only $12.96 on
Oh,
Amazon, Walmart, Target. I went into Walmart the
what?
other day and saw it and bought a copy and took a picture with it. An awful picture, but I took a picture with it. I'm like, I'm in
That is
Walmart.
so cool.
I'm like my book's not in Walmart, but I'm in
That is
Walmart.
so cool. Now, okay, so I have to ask you, and I don't know if you want to answer this or not, but like, what did your book becoming a movie, what did that do? Because I know I know it sort of like opened up an opportunity for you to like promote it all over again, right?
Yeah,
But how did that work for you? Was it a positive experience?
it was a positive experience. I have been asked to do local like speaking engagements with our chamber of commerce and our library and be like a guest for some things and to have that interest for me to come and speak and things like that that has meant a lot. I have had a few people to come up to me and ask me if are you Angie, because they would see my picture like in our local newspaper or
Oh
on the
my
website where I
God.
was going to speak or something like that. And I was like, oh, I've got like 5 minutes of fame here. So that stuff was kind of fun. As far as book sales, there was an increase, but it's not a big one. I mean, you don't suddenly earn like
Oh, I
a ton of
know.
money off of it because
Well,
Hallmark
books are
doesn't
just,
really promote that it's a book.
yeah.
Um, but Beth and I are the only two authors, and someone's gonna, if they watch this who has a book adapted, take this from me. We have an excerpt of our books on Hallmark's website on the movie page. Um,
Oh,
they did it with Beth. I think it was something they were considering doing.
yeah.
And so I knew they had done that. So I reached out and was like, "Can I do this?" "Oh, sure." And they did. So they put it on there. So that's one way people can see that it is based on a book. But it always
Yeah.
does bother me that like on Hallmark Plus or whatever, I wish they would have a little note down there where they address the screenwriter and everything, that they would put a little note that and they can just say inspired by, so people don't think
Yeah.
it's identical all the time, and name the author too. That would be fun for us. But yeah, I have had great experiences from it. I've had people to send me messages telling me how much they love the movie. And I'm like, that sure did.
That was so great.
That's so great. Well, Paul, I want to thank you so much for coming
Oh
on
my
and
gosh.
talking to me. I wanted to
Of
get you
course.
on here, and I wanted to have a teleplay writer.
A teleplay writer.
Yes,
Yes.
come on and talk to me.
And also thank you for changing the time, because I am much more energized and peppy than I would have been at 7 a.m.
When
For
you said
sure.
7, I'm like, wow, you go guy, you go boy.
I was, yeah, I mean, yesterday when my friend asked to change our breakfast plans, I was like, like my hand was like shaking. I was trying to like message you as quickly as
I was like, of
possible.
course, I absolutely. If there is a way that you could not have to meet me at 7 a.m. your time. I was like, no, I'm not doing anything today. I was
I don't know
expecting
what I
my
was
husband to
thinking.
walk in at some point, but he's been
Yeah.
working. So, but thank you so much, Paul, for coming
Thank you,
on. I hope
Angie.
that you have your upcoming script and development. I hope it makes it
Yes.
to become a movie.
Well, and let's see your more of you on the screen and on the bookshelves. Keep me posted on everything, of course.
I will. I will. And thank you so much for coming on.
You got it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.